I asked you a question, Nakai, and I deliberately chose to not give you an answer, Mudo. I shake my head to fend off the dazedness. The teacher's looking at me, as is everyone else in the class. Oh, sorry, I was not paying attention. What's the distance between... Never mind, different question. Why are you here, in this class? Uh-oh. To, learn about physics? Yes, well, no, but that's the answer I wanted to hear. To acquire knowledge is the secondary reason for you being in the school. Knowledge is the secondary reason of school? The primary one is to learn the rules of society. Ah, to bend to the iron will of conformity. Gotcha. The norms and ethics that govern your everyday life. Bend to them! You are forced to subject yourself to them on a daily basis until the day you die, and you must learn and submit to them immediately. You don't come to school for the classes, you come to interact with the other people there, your classmates who are your equals and the teachers who are your superiors. Except for when your classmates are obviously and very much beneath you in some regards, and sometimes the teachers are most assuredly anything but superior. But then again, this is a special school, so, and it's not public schooling, but still, you can't just throw that info in my face and expect me not to, engage in some sass back. You learn how to form social contacts and maintain them. Boy, howdy did I ever mess that part up of school. In other words, how to be a part of society. The school itself is a microcosm of the entire society. Locke was the only one who realized that, School's not just a place for learning. And of all the kids your age, you guys should know that better than anyone else. He pauses for a moment and lets his eyes sweep over the class to see if the message sunk in. At the very least, it shut everyone up and got them to focus on him, captivated either by his voice or the sudden change of topic from physics to philosophy of education. However, my classes, as you so aptly put, are a place for learning about physics. He points at me with the piece of chalk he's holding. So, no sleeping during class. Got it, Nakai? I'm not asleep, I'm just not paying attention. There's a massive difference. If I were asleep, I'd wake up feeling rested. As is, I don't know, you just maybe step up your game. Yes, sir. From the corner of my eye, I catch Shizune's scowl and Misha's barely contained giggle. I sink deeper into my seat in a deep well of shame. After classes end, I'm the last one to leave the classroom. I close the door behind me and quietly make my way to the art room. As this is my life now. Hello, Rin. Club time passes in relative peace and quiet. I sit in my usual seat next to Rin. I have no idea what the status of or nature of my relationship with this girl is at this point. I really have no idea. But she doesn't seem to be in a talkative mood. She's even more distant than usual. Today, we're going to draw still life and get to choose from either a vase full of fake flowers or an arrangement of rock, sticks, and canvas. The teacher encourages us to gather around the preferred motif, emphasizing perspective, texture, and lighting as the key points of this exercise. I look at Rin to see if she prefers one of the subjects over the other, but she tilts her head, signifying nothing. The club members quickly shuffle their chairs around the classroom to get closer to either the vase or the clutter. Rin and I both pick the flower vase, but only one of us seems to do any work. She's ignoring Namia's assignment, just like she suddenly started ignoring me, and has begun doodling something idly with her foot, not really even looking at what she's drawing. I try to catch her gaze, but she's looking out the window. It's making me uneasy. Rin almost looks like she's asleep with the way she's leaning back against the chair with her legs resting easily on the desk. She's now completely given up on the drawing. The more I try to relax, ignore her, and just be myself, the more it feels like I should ask if something's wrong. But then again, would that even be the proper code of conduct here? I know not the answers. After club activities are over and others have filed out, I think that's right, Rin gets up from her seat and marches over to Namia with unusual determination. I will do it. Namia, who is humming to himself while sorting a box of pencils by hardness, which I just realized, yes, is actually a thing, turns around with a mixed expression of friendliness and hidden comprehension on his face. What will you do, my girl? The gallery person. I can talk with that person. At least yesterday I thought I could. And today, too. I think. I want to try it. I'm going to go all the way. The widest smile I've ever seen on any person's face lights up the teacher's features. He's almost literally beaming. Oh, wonderful! I'd almost lost hope. Such a hard-headed girl you are, but I knew that sooner or later you'd understand as well. I can only hope that encouraging this isn't a massively horrible thing that I've subjected Rin to. Something tells me that it might be. Oh dear. I'll call my good friends Sayonji and arrange a meeting. You'll need to show her your work so she can estimate it. I've told her about you, but obviously you should talk face to face. This is so exciting, isn't it? Namiya's talking more to himself than to us and walking in circles around his desk, waving his hands around wildly all the while. He picks up a cell phone from the breast pocket of his jacket and flips it open with a stylish movement, much like a Jimmy T, we're perhaps starting to look for the number to call. While he searches, he notices me staring and gives me a beaming thumbs up. I shrug back at him, doing my best to not look smug. Nomiya finds the number and makes the call, turning away from us and lowering his voice once it goes through. Even so, I can hear his excited tone. The call doesn't last long. Fabulous! Sai is at the gallery right now and said we could stop by right away if that's fine. This is most excellent. Oh dear. Do you have some kind of portfolio to show, Rin? She just shakes her head at the question. Never fear, I've taken some photos of your paintings. We can bring those and maybe a couple originals with us. Those will be quite sufficient for now. I mean, it's probably a good idea that you did take those photos. I don't know if Rin even holds on to anything she makes. There should be some recent ones around here in the back, right? He pulls out a folder of photos on a desk drawer, then charges towards the back where there's a small storage room and extra cabinets for all the materials and tools the art classes and club use. He soon finds what he's looking for and crudely wraps 2 of Rin's painting in some brown packing paper. Nakai, would you carry these to my car? I pick up the 2 oil paintings. They aren't heavy, but they do make navigation somewhat cumbersome as I follow Nomiya and Rin to the parking lot. And apparently I did not realize I was going to be a part of this. Emmy has a pretty nice car. Not something I'd expect a high school art teacher to drive. I mean, I know high school teacher, but high school art teacher? Come on now. To drive, I wonder what kind of salaries they earn at Yamaku. The canvases are stuffed into the trunk where they just barely fit. At the teacher's over-enthusiastic prompting, I get in the car along with them. Rin answers my questioning stare with a confirming nod and a nonchalant shrug. I guess I become sort of an assistant for her now. There are worse fates. Nomiya doesn't go light on the pedal. The smooth ride takes just about 10 minutes to bring us to the city center, where we pull into a tiny parking lot and get out of the car. I pick up the paintings again, looking around. It's just like any city in Japan, really. Same style of buildings, people hurrying here and there, office workers sweating in their suits in the summer heat. Nastiness. Wide, tree-lined streets aren't something you see every day, though. Maybe they are in this. Maybe they're this city's specialty. I mean, I guess. It definitely has the feel of a city, which I thought I had already forgotten. I feel immediately comfortable walking around. Haven't actually been here before. No, in that case, it's about time. It's a great city. Lots of wonderful folk around here. And most important of all, a vibrant cultural life. Sai's place is just around the corner. The 22nd corner. I see. After turning around 3 more corners, Nomiya stops in front of a door. There is a nameplate in big red letters over it. 22nd corner. Is this really the 22nd corner? Of what? That's bothering me too. I mean, where to start counting? And which way do you count? I mean, I gotta be honest with you, I was thinking the exact same thing, so I can't really judge you on that one. Rin gets worked up over the strangest things. Unlike me, Nomiya ignores her completely and pushes the door open. The gallery is very clean looking, and the air conditioning makes it cool and very comfortable. The white walls and big windows facing onto the busy street make the whole place feel airy and bright. There's nobody around whom I can see, however. Most of the floor space is empty, with only a few large tables and a counter for furniture. There are paintings too, of course. A poster advertises an exhibit for an artist I've never heard of, although, let's be honest with ourselves, that's hardly anything resembling hard to accomplish. Most of his work seem to be portraits or landscapes done in a more traditional style than Rin's abstraction. Hello there. Someone by the belt now. Rin's story gets all manner of unique characters. I guess almost all of them did, technically, but still. I don't know, for some reason it feels more noteworthy here. Someone by the bell on the door, a lady who looks maybe around Nomiya's age, comes from around the corner. She's dressed in a sharp suit, her straight dark hair and a perfect ponytail behind her head. Gotta give ponytail respect, yo. A pair of flashy, expensive eyeglasses frame her eyes. On second glance, I'm not sure of her age anymore. She looks old and yet not actually old. I'm a guess 32. That's old for a teenager, but young by anyone else's standards. Sai, hello! She clearly recognizes the teacher, greeting him warmly. Oh, there you are, Shinichi. And so quickly. I take it that these 2 are your students? Indeed. Here, let me introduce you. This is Rin Tezuka, the one I spoke to you about, and this healthy-looking lad over there is Hisao Nakai. Referring to me as healthy-looking, will you? She takes a long, hard look at both of us, especially Rin. Feels like we're being evaluated, that a worth of some abstract kind is being calculated for us. Her eyes linger for a long time on Rin. On her eyes, her empty sleeves tied in knots, her posture. Sai takes her first impression of Rin with an intensity I've not seen used by anyone else before. Once finished, she smiles amiably. Pleased to meet you both. My name is Sai Sayonji, and I'm the owner of this gallery. Could I maybe offer you some tea? Oh, no thank you, we're fine. Let's get down to business. We've got Huns to defeat! And no, I'll never stop making that reference. I lay the paintings on a tabletop to give the gallery owner a better view, and Nomiya pulls out his folder of photos. The old lady, I don't feel comfortable calling her old lady, but alright. Studies Rin's works carefully, absent-mindedly brushing her cheek with her fingers while letting her gaze sweep over the paintings. Her eyes remind me of a bird of prey of some sort. A secretary bird with their powerful kicks. They're so sharp and somehow very calculating. She's got a very angular kind of visage on her, you know? Lots of points. Not a bad thing. She takes her time, slowly going over the paintings in order without uttering a single word. Even the teacher looks very nervous. He tries to point out certain details and other things about Rin's work, but it seems like she's not listening. While Nomi and I keep looking at Sai, trying to look at first on a hint of a reaction on the gallery owner's face, Rin lets her gaze wander around the galley space. Suddenly, she pipes up, and yes, I am saying galley on purpose. Is this really the 22nd corner? Sai raises her gaze from her paintings to look at Rin, but doesn't answer. It's probably for the best. She takes stock of Rin's slouchy posture and her dreamy eyes that are, again, moving restlessly about. I think that says a lot about how that's how you defined her eyes. The way Rin seems to be detached from a situation that's supposed to be very important for her annoys me just a little. I'm practically holding my breath here. It's just not a big deal for her. After Sai has gone through all of Nomiya's photos and inspected the 2 oil paintings I hauled here, she goes through all the material again, this time at a quicker pace. Finally, she gives her verdict. I like it. Yes, sir? I like it. The opposite of Mr. Horst. Though, if you don't mind me saying, you're still a bit immature. Searching for your own direction, perhaps? I mean, she's what, 18 minimum here? Like, what? Of course she's immature. She's Rin. She picks up one of the photos. Still, just look at this. Just can't take my eyes off it. Like a little kitten playing around. That's what your art makes me feel, young lady. Thank you, I think. Nobody said ever that before, I think. That's all that Rin has to say. Something about what the gallery owner says and how she says it makes it sound patronizing to me, but I hold my tongue. Anyway, what a wonderful imagination, though, isn't it? I've always said that Tezuka has a great eye for composition and color harmony and technique. Remember, all these are done with her feet. Yeah, but I mean, I feel like the artistic merit of her painting should be more so due to the fact that, you know, they're good rather than the fact that she does it without arms. Of course, we'd need to put some of the simpler ones on display too for the lay people, right, Sai? The teacher snorts derisively. You know how those Philistines are? What do they understand about real art? They'd just be at a loss with the abstractions and themes here. But it'll generate more publicity, and that's good, isn't it? Sai smiles gently at Nomiya's remark and turns back to the paintings. I can't help but feel like they're kind of portraying Rin as a bit of a sideshow attraction in the art world, if I'm being perfectly honest. I'm hopefully misinterpreting that. I wonder. To tell you the truth, I just don't know if all this makes an exhibition. Even if I like it, I don't get the feel of a theme, of cohesion. I mean, why would an artist need that? There's no oeuvre? I don't know. I'm gonna be made fun of for not knowing it. And really, who would expect such from a young artist like the kitten here? Oh, no. It's definitely doable, especially if we get a few new pieces and touch up some old ones. I feel like asking that of Rin is not exactly how she goes about things. I don't mind painting more. I'll do anything. It's a bit of a stretch. Trust me, I wouldn't have come to you if I didn't believe Tezuka was ready. You can see it too, can't you? I know exactly what she is capable of, and you know too. Those words give the gallerist lady a pause. A hollow, bottomless look takes over her eyes for a moment, as if she was looking through or maybe past Nomiya. She says nothing, but her mouth becomes a tight, flat line as if stretched. Finally, the moment passes. Is that what you're saying? That's what I'm saying. Sai sighs and takes a few steps, walking in a circle as if to help organize her thoughts. She takes another look at the photo of the painting she particularly liked, the one that made her call Rin a kitten. She places her hand over her mouth, lost for words. After a few moments, she shakes her head. I don't know what to say. After seeing you, dear, and these paintings of yours, would you excuse us for a moment? I want to talk to your teacher in private for a bit. Sai draws the art teacher aside, and they talk in hushed tones for a while. I can't hear what they're saying, but over her shoulder, I can see the lines around the corners of her mouth tighten as she motions with her hands in time with her words. The expression on her face is... What kind of expression is it? I couldn't say. Once they're done discussing whatever they had to discuss, they give one another a serious look. I feel something that goes beyond mere words is transpiring here. They walk back to us. Sai looks seriously at Rin, her left hand reaching as if instinctively towards a pack of cigarettes that's lying on the table. She picks up the pack and extracts one, looks at it absent-mindedly as if only now realizing she did so, and puts it back. Finally, she locks eyes with Rin, evaluating her once more. All right, little kitten, I'm going to believe in you. I'll display your paintings in here, but from what I can see, this is not enough. You don't really have a cohesive theme, and you don't have enough of the good stuff. Rude. You're gonna have to work hard to actually get something that we can put on an exhibit here. I know. It's a good thing my gallery is so small, no? Rin already spends pretty much every free waking moment she has painting. How's it possible to work any harder? She'd have to skip classes to do more than she already does, and how can anyone work that much? Silence falls in the gallery after my words. Sai looks at the art teacher, who is looking contemplatively at a star student. Look at all three of them confused. It's doable. What do you mean? I mean, the school is special. The board puts great value on things such as this. I'm sure I could arrange some leave for her. It's not unprecedented by any means. I'll discuss it with her parents too, but they've been quite supportive. However, it might be a bit of a stretch to get working for her at the school if she's not actually going to attend classes. Actually, I was thinking about this before. Do you use the place upstairs for anything? The fact that Nomiya and Sai both have, gray as their nameplate makes it hard for me to tell who's talking at any given moment. No, I don't. Haven't since back then. It's more like a landfill than an atelier now. Another word I don't know. Upstairs? I own a small apartment on the top floor of this building, but it hasn't been in use for... Goodness, it's been so long, hasn't it? Her eyes leap to Nomiya, who has a strange muted expression on his face. Indeed. Do you think? Even Nomiya, in all his brashness, has trouble coming straight out with the question. Sai, of course, sees through him and throws up her hand, sighing deeply. I guess I can't say no, can I? Very well, I'll lend you the use of that place as well, if needed. It's not like I really use it. Excellent! I knew I could count on you. Don't celebrate yet. It really is a mess, so don't be shocked when you first see it. However, you can use it as you see fit. Since it's whatever that is, it already has easels, like an art studio or something like that. You'll only need your own tools and materials and to somehow clean it up a bit. It's not habitable, though, so I can't let you live there. I doubt your school or parents would allow that in any case. Okay. However, it's convenient to crash there overnight if necessary. I won't mind. Ah, most excellent, isn't it, Tezuka? He enthusiastically pats Rin on the shoulder, laughing in relief and happiness, as if all this good fortune landed on him personally. Sai smiles as well, perhaps more amused by the old teacher's glee than anything else. Oh dear, Shinichi. This really is like back then. Are you sure we all haven't bitten off more than we can chew? She looks at Rin, who seems to be oddly subdued despite all this. I hope it'll be worth it, kitten. She holds out her hand as if to shake Rin's, but she realizes the impossibility and quickly moves to pat her on the shoulder. Rin looks back at her silently, her eyes serious and impenetrable like the dark of the night. And, an ever so slight amount of hesitation is now on display from me personally. I don't know how I feel about this given situation. I'm not sure how much of this is something that Rin is actually interested in doing herself, if I'm being real. But okay. Rin applies for, and, thanks to Nomiya pressuring the principal, I'm sure, is granted leave for the rest of the term for exceptional extracurricular activities. She has to make up for it during summer vacation, but it seems she doesn't mind. I was wondering about that. All right. Rin will be able to eat and sleep at school, of course. She doesn't have to go to classes. Not entirely sure if I envy her or not. I mean, I kinda do. It all makes me feel anxious, somehow. It's the last day of school for Rin. I feel like I should send her off with a word of encouragement, or at least say something. It was sort of due to my influence that she decided to dive headfirst into this after all. My class is in a good 20 minutes early, so I walk down to the lobby and buy a can of juice, then sit down on a bench and wait for Rin. I pull out a novel from my bag and search for the place where I was. Time stretches comfortably over the warm afternoon while I idly sip my orange drink and read through a few chapters of the book. The plot doesn't seem to advance at all, but it's all the same for me. Easy joke could be made here, but I won't make it. The bell rings to the end of the school day, and students shuffle to club meetings or outside. Nobody notices me sitting on the bench with my nose in the novel. I keep watch for Rin, but I don't see her familiar face or red-tinted hair passing by. I wouldn't really call her hair red-tinted as much as I do aflamed, but, whatever. I check my watch 20 minutes past the end of class when the lobby has all but emptied of people again. Even Rin should have already managed to get out of class, but either I missed her walking by or she never came downstairs. Perhaps she went to the art club room for some last-minute things instead, or got held back by her strict homeroom teacher. Haven't really waited that long, but having grown tired of it already, I decided to go find her myself. I stuff my book in my bag and throw the now empty juice can in a trash bin, then climb upstairs. I'm glad the game, decided to tell me that he threw it away, otherwise I would assume he would be holding on to it for the rest of the scene. The hallway is eerily quiet, in that kind of way that, only empty school buildings can give off. Ugh. As there are no club rooms apart from the art room nearby, I check there first, but not even the teacher is in. Coming back towards the stairwell, I quietly knock on the door of 3-4 and push the door open to peek in. Yellow sunbeams cross the classroom. I know this room! Falling across the floor, the dust and chalk floating slowly in the air make the light almost palpable. The entire room bathes in the gentle light shining through the windows, washing the shadows away. Only one person is inside the classroom. is Rin. She's making a snooze. Rin sits in what I assume is her seat, next to the window in the third row. Her head rests against the desk. I think she's cute. I wonder if she slept through it all. Apparently not even Emmy had the heart, or maybe the capability to wake her up. I close the door quietly. Walking past the neat, even rows of desks, I go over to where she sits. Rin? My mouth is suddenly so dry that the word comes out as a tiny whisper, which is weird because I had so much orange drink. She doesn't answer, so I set my bag down on the floor next to hers and lean over her to look at her face. Rin's eyes are peacefully closed, the long eyelashes projecting the shadows under her cheeks. Doesn't have some long-ass lashes if they doing that. Her mouth is slightly open, letting me hear the quiet sound of her breathing. Her usually messy hair is even more so today, lying in complete disarray over half her face and forehead. Her bag is lying at her feet like a forgotten rag doll. A few books and pens have fallen out of it near her seat. The scene makes me smile a little. I touch Rin's head lightly, sweeping a few strays off her ear. Her hair feels warm against my palm. Rin stirs and I retract my hand on reflex, realizing that could be considered a little bit weird, feeling embarrassed for touching her so casually. To be fair, she also touched you somewhat casually, so, She looks so vulnerable, like any sleeping person. It's impossible to not feel fondness towards her. I sit on the desktop of whoever is in front of Rin, then draw the window slightly open to get some fresh air in. Hope it'll wake her up and I won't need to resort to cruder methods. Oh, look at that! She doesn't wake up, but I didn't really expect her to. Looking at her makes me feel tired as well. To be honest, I wouldn't mind a quick nap either, but I content myself with leaning against the large window. The glass is warm against my ear and cheek as these windows face west towards the setting afternoon sun. The afternoon light is slowly melting into Rin's auburn hair, softening her outlines so that she seems to be fading into her surroundings. The minute twitches of her, the minute twitches of her muscles, sorry. Her hair swaying in the air current, the even rhythm of her breathing. It all gives the strong impression of a dreaming girl. Like all sleeping people, Rin looks like she's away from this world in some distant dream country. With her, it doesn't feel so obvious that she would ever come back. She seems so detached from her surroundings, even when she's awake. In fact, she has the same kind of air around her when the realization hits my consciousness without any warning. Rin sometimes looks like that when she's painting. Her focused expression gives the same feeling of being on the other side of some imaginary gap as looking at her sleeping face does. I feel a pain in my chest. Well, there's no way I can close that gap to be on the same level with her. It hurts, even though I know now that it's impossible for any two people to truly understand each other. But Rin, she's almost literally in another world when she's talking about art, thinking about art, or making art. It's a world that I, or anyone else really, can't share with her, just like the world of dreams. That's an interesting angle to take this. He clearly likes her, but doesn't know if it's even tangibly feasible for him to be able to be on her level in a way that, I guess, is satisfactory for either. Well, I kind of hope things work out a little bit better than that, but dang, that's somber, man. Rin still doesn't show any signs of waking up, so I'm faced with the decision to either rouse her myself or wait for her to waken on her own. I choose the latter. Winning is something I am good at. I found that out during my hospitalization, but even the hospital ward was more lively than the school after classes were over. The only sounds of the place are the loud ticking of the clock above, the door, and the distant voices of students down on the grounds, and me without a Game Boy. A genuine summer breeze blows inside from the window I cracked open, full of warmth and carrying the scent of light. Light doesn't have a scent! I look outside to see where it came from, but I'm dazzled almost instantly. The window glass seems to trap all the sunlight within, making it painful to look that way. All I can glimpse through the window are the dark silhouettes of the trees and the wall around the campus against the setting sun's radiance. As I turn back to watch Rin, she stirs again. Whoa, hello. A single tear worms down from the corner of her eye, slowly making its way across her face before it falls onto the desk. It's tiny, barely a droplet, but it captivates me. Another tear follows the first, and then a third. A feeling of anxiety overcomes me, petrifying me on the spot. It's so strange, seeing Rin's face peaceful as she sleeps, at the same time as tears stream down her cheeks, wetting the wooden desktop she rests her head on. I don't know what to do, so I do nothing. I just watch the tears roll one by one down her face. I wonder what she's dreaming about. Rin wakes up after one final flinch, or perhaps because of the tears. She sits upright and yawns so excessively it looks like her jaw might dislocate. I've had some of those. She notices my presence, but her reaction is more like the lack of any reacting at all. It's just an acknowledgement. No startled gasp or anything. Hello. Good morning. She's so groggy she can't even return my smile that I somehow can't stretch to be entirely honest. Rin notices her wet cheeks and quickly wipes on the shoulder of her shirt. Seems she isn't all that surprised or flustered by them. You cried in your sleep. A bad dream? No, it's nothing like that. It's something I've learned to do from other people. You've learned to cry from other... In your... What? In your sleep? What? It's a funny story. I'll tell you later. On second thought, not really funny at all. I guess I won't tell you. Did you want something, or did you just come to watch me sleep? I can't help but notice that being a bit of a recurring theme for the two of us at this point. I wanted to see you after classes. Well, it's after classes now, and I'm seeing you right here. Yeah, I just wanted to say good luck or something. I figure the upcoming weeks are going to be a lot of work for you. Thanks. Rin yawns again and blinks a few times. I feel weird. Didn't really sleep much last night at all. Butterflies in your stomach? What? No. I mean, yes. I know what that means. Butterflies don't really feel so good now. It'll be fine. You're so confident. Someday it'll bite you in the ear. I'll look forward to it. I think I have to go. I promised Miss Sanji that I'd go there straight after school, and now it's after school. Is it okay if I come by sometime? I'm guessing you're planning to work long hours, so if you'd prefer to avoid distractions. It's okay. It's not a distraction. Not like Emmy. Don't bring her with you, though. I wouldn't like that this time. And I told her to stay away. I see. All right, then. I admit to being somewhat curious about that. What exactly about Emmy is distracting that I am not? I mean, granted, okay, yeah, she is a bit of a bundle of energy, and I suppose she would be just bouncing off the walls where I guess Asao is more content to just kind of sit in quiet and contemplation with Rin. He's done that on several occasions. Okay, all right. Maybe I read that as a little too more dramatic than I thought I really should have. Might literally just be that simple. The school's empty hallways, devoid of the usual crowd of students, feel very lonely. It's only a few hours since school ended, but the building seems to be all but deserted. Our footsteps are all that intrudes upon the stillness of the hallways. The change is sudden, but it shows how the building is just an empty shell, dead without its students and teachers to liven it up. You could say that about all buildings. It's like the school has become a private world for just the two of us. A desolate place filled with silence and chalk dust. I'm gonna change. She says this out of the blue while we walk down the stairs from the 3rd floor, and it makes me wonder how she views this challenge that lies ahead of her. And that's what most people do sometimes. I thought she meant her clothes. That's the last thing we say to each other that day, even though there's so much that we could talk about. And even those words drown in the all-encompassing silence, disappearing into the stagnant air as if they were never said. Anybody else getting an incredibly ominous sensation deep in your gut? Because that's what I'm getting right now. The next Monday is marked by a strange emptiness that grips me, caused by the knowledge that I won't be able to see Rin whenever I want to anymore. This hollow feeling's a little bit disconcerting, but I make it to the afternoon all the same. My last class is, in a word, terrible. It's not that the lesson is bad. It is, however, boring, and it's so hot in the classroom that I feel like I'm melting. The air conditioning is either broken or turned off so the windows are open, and that doesn't help! Since the air outside is completely still, only the chirping of the cicadas carries inside, and cicada wings do not beat fast enough for any kind of wind, people! The sweltering heat permeates the room. Students and teachers alike are in the almost delirious state. I just want to stand up and walk out of here without caring what the teacher or anyone else says. I can see I'm not the only one with these thoughts, too. Next to me, Misha is shamelessly holding her skirt up a bit and fanning air in with her notebook. Only Shizune seems to be as cool as always, sitting with her back perfectly straight, arms folded on her chest, her eyes fixed on the equation scrawled on the blackboard. I keep shooting yearning glances at my watch, but it doesn't help the time go by any faster. It's funny. I remember how badly I wanted to get out of the hospital and go back to school. Now all I can think about is the upcoming summer vacation and freedom from classes and homework. Perhaps it's human nature to think only of the situation at hand. Finally, the bell rings again. Relieved, my classmates and I burst out into the hallway, already crowded by students from our neighboring classes. An Emmy approaches, and I welcome this I spot Emmy's diminutive figure nearby and walk up to her. Hey there. She smiles sweetly, clearly happy to see me. Hey Sal, what's up? Is your classroom super hot too? Yeah, it is. I thought I was gonna melt in there. Nothing else is really happening though. Feeling a bit weird now that Rin's on a great adventure, or whatever you'd want to call it. Emmy's face cracks in a wider smile and she jumps up and down enthusiastically. This is deeply appreciated. Isn't it great? I'm so happy for her. I bet everyone will like her paintings. She'll sell a lot of them and make piles of money. Oh, Emmy, you are so ridiculously optimistic about an artist's prospects in the world that it's endearing as heck. Yeah, I'm sure it'll work out great. I'm totally sulking at her though. She huffs angrily and places her hands firmly on her hips, even letting a little anger seep into her voice. Doesn't quite have the impact she's probably hoping for, but I say nothing. Why's that? She said that she doesn't want me to go near her, or whatever. Yeah, see her. Oh yeah, she mentioned that. I guess she prefers to not be distracted. I can understand that. I don't think I'm that much of a distraction. Besides, I'm sure she'll forget about sleeping and eating properly if someone's not there telling her to do it. Sometimes she's like that, gets completely fixated on whatever and drops everything else. It really makes me worried, you know? Is she gonna be alright? Such friendship. I wonder if she thinks I'm annoying. I'm pretty sure that's not the case at all. I'm almost positive Rin has had multiple opportunities to make her feelings known in any way, shape, or form that she so chose. If she really wanted to spend, you know, time away from you, like if she didn't like you, she would have made it clear. I don't think you gotta worry about that. Emmy shakes her head, looking amused. I'm not sure if she's joking or not. She has these weird ideas about a lot of stuff. Things just make sense to her in a totally different way than they do to me. I can't even remember all the weird stuff she talked about over all this time. I don't think Rin does either, really. She's the type who would forget her own head if it wasn't attached to her shoulders. And that's why I just can't leave her alone. Is that weird? She leans against the wall, managing to look distraught, yet still cheerful as always. I get a strange feeling about it, as though I were talking to two people at the same time. How would I know? Everyone's weird in some way, but if that's yours, it's a very nice way. If that's what classifies as weird for you, Emmy, then that makes you a very nice, weird person. At least I can understand what you're talking about, unlike Rin. Most of the time, I have no idea what's going on inside her head either. Emmy giggles, nodding in agreement. I think it's okay, even if you don't understand her. That's how she usually is. Emmy stands up straighter, brushing the hem of her skirt and straightening the waistline. She laughs awkwardly. We ended up talking pretty seriously. What's up with you, Hasal? Why'd you bring this up? Oh, sorry. I didn't really mean to get into this sort of discussion either. I don't know. I've had this weird feeling lately about Rin. I don't know why. I feel a bit guilty bringing up something like this for no reason except my own anxiety. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Suddenly, Emmy clutches my wrist and twists it so she can see what time it is from my watch. Oh, damn. This late already? I should really go. There's a meeting with the rest of the track team at the field. It's not going to be fun in this heat. We're going to sweat like pigs. Cast aside that thought, but I promised I'd be there. Bye-bye. Bye, Emmy. It was nice seeing you again. She skips downstairs, leaving me wondering if what I said, or what Rin said rather, hurt her or not. Maybe what Emmy herself said hurt her the most. Come to that. Yeah. Okay. So in the end, even the person closer to Rin is just as far apart from her as everyone else. I wonder if Rin herself ever feels that distance. I mean, it's possible she might just have a communication disorder or something. That's always kind of been my interpretation. And generally, people with communication disorders are just as fully capable of every, type of emotion and, mixture of feelings as anybody else. They just have a harder time explaining and conveying them. And if that's the case for Rin specifically, I imagine she is aware of that, and it's possible she's none too big a fan of it. I'm not entirely sure. I'd need more time with her, I think. I felt like, that's the impression I kind of got when she had that huge, info dump up on the mountains with Hasao, where she was talking about that thing. It sounded a lot like she noticed that Hasao was feeling miserable, wanted to help, didn't really know how, and just kind of word vomited it up in an attempt to help, So I feel like that I might be close on the money on that one. I felt like I was drifting away from the world too during my hospitalization. I felt anxious and depressed, and even now I sometimes still do. But I fight against it with all I've got. If Rin has been on that side of the divide for her whole life, I can't imagine how she could not be lonely. Or perhaps she's truly different. I refuse to belong to that other place, but maybe she's found comfort there. Look at me, I have a club meeting of my own, so I head straight to the art club room at the end of the hallway. Only a few members are present today, so the mood's even more laid back than usual. Rin is off working on her exhibition project, but I wonder if the rest are simply just playing hooky, defeated by the heat. I half-assedly sketch something with a piece of graphite, but do a poor job of it. My fingertips are turning pitch black from holding the graphite and smudging it on the paper, accidentally and on purpose. Well, if that ain't a mood. I've improved a little, but Rin's level is still far beyond my reach. Yeah, I mean, you're really not supposed to compare yourself to other artists. Eventually, Nomiya comes in and makes his way around the room, checking on what we're doing and giving comments on the works in progress. He steps behind me and bends closer to look at my poor sketch. Tried to take a few pointers from Tezuka, have you? Well, I've looked at how she draws, but I haven't actually asked for advice, no. Let's see here. He casually picks up the piece of graphite from my hand and lightly draws some faint, barely visible lines over my sketch to illustrate places that need improvement. I already feel frustrated about not seeing the obvious flaws before, but with a couple of careless, seemingly flicks of the wrist, Nomiya has made them plain as day. Straightening up, he throws a sideways glance at the seat where Rin usually sits. Such a nostalgic feeling, almost like a bird flying from the nest. I'll miss Tezuka when she graduates. It begins from here, you know. Nearly makes my eyes a little misty. Yeah, well, better than having her eyes be a little Brock. Which I guess that kind of works, as you know, he had the special eyes. But you know, I was just making a dumb joke. Do you really think she has a chance to make her big break with the exhibition? Nomiya turns, looks up from my sketch, adjusting his glasses. He rubs his chin, looking contemplative. Why not? It's not like she's going to be an overnight smash hit or anything, but getting the word out there is very important. Connections are pure gold. Maybe the most important thing to gain is she's to become an artist. Word of mouth is very powerful in these circles. She has some advantages, like her young age and technique. You know, the feat. People will be naturally curious about extraordinary things like that. His words have an unpleasant ring to them. Yeah, okay. I think Sal's picking up what I've been picking up too. Isn't that just exploiting her disability to make her more popular? Sounds fishy. Now, it's not like that at all. Think of it from another perspective, like an artist. Would you rather have Tezuka hide herself completely from public view as if her condition were something shameful? Some people will call it exploitation if we promote that aspect, or discrimination if we hide it. All considered, we're just being honest about it. There's nothing wrong with that, right, my boy? I mean, yeah, I suppose that makes sense. But I have hesitations, but okay. Brilliant! It's true that disability always has all sorts of implications in society, often nasty ones, but brushing things under the carpet won't help at all. I'm sure Sai will handle her side of the issue with delicacy. I've known her since art school, and she's the most reliable. Why is she going so far for Rin's sake? Because it's you who asked? Oh, she has her own reasons too. Trust this old man, she's more kind-hearted than she looks. But don't let her know I said that. He gives me a big wink and covers his mouth with his hand as if to push the remark back in. Remember the curious way Miss Saionji looked at Rin almost the entire time during our visit at the gallery? It was like that woman was trying to imprint everything about her into her memory. Or maybe it was that Rin reminded her of something else. Mostly Sai simply adores young people with a passion for art. Her gallery specializes in that very thing, bringing up-and-coming talent to the public. It's a perfect fit for someone like Tezuka. I don't even know if she really wants to become a career artist, though, but I guess that'd be the next logical step. I don't have the faintest idea. Like they say, a teacher can only show the door. It's the student who has to walk through it. An old, tired saying, but still quite true. I don't think I've ever heard that saying before, considering it's apparently old and tired. He leaves to chat with the pair of second-year girls working on some watercolors. Even though he said that cliched thing, it feels to me like Nomiya's trying to prod Rin through a certain door in particular. But I can't blame him for that. I literally shoved Rin towards that door, what with my speeches about wasting opportunities and whatnot. Nomiya feels like it's time for him to let Rin test her own wings. He has absolute confidence in this endeavor. I wonder why I can't shed this anxious feeling I have inside of me. It shouldn't have anything to do with me. Maybe I'm just bothered by exactly that. I really don't have any part in this. I'd like to be a part of Rin's life, and her a part of mine. Like friends should be. That's what she called us. I wonder what she really meant. I feel like I'm so apart from her even though when I'm not. It's the same as with Rin and Emmy. I can't understand her. What am I for her? I'm not sure. If I'm being honest with you, I honestly don't know what the right call there would be. Nor do I have, too much of a... Hey, here's an idea. How about I just go ahead and do that. Okay. I have no idea where each one leads, how important each one are. I mean, I want to say that... I mean, supporting her is good, obviously. But I feel like the goal... I don't really know if she's looking for support, you know? At least that's never the impression that I've really been getting. If anything, she seems to be kind of annoyed by that aspect. I don't know. I feel like all I can really try to do is maybe try to put myself in her sandals, as it were. I feel like trying to understand her is not just what I think Katawa would want. I think it might be what Rin would want. I'm not sure. In the end, even though we made friends with each other, I don't really feel that we've gotten any closer. How could I call someone my friend if I can't understand her? Nomiya's boisterous laugh fills the quiet afternoon just as the club meeting ends. He pats one of the girls on the back encouragingly. Think about all the things that had led me to this point, all the things I've shared with Rin during the few weeks I've been in Yamaku so far. I understand so little. In the end, but I'm sure of one thing. If I want to keep going with what I have with Rin, I have to throw myself into whatever will come out of this exhibition project along with her. I turned my gaze back at the black mess of a sketch and the near invisible guiding lines the teacher drew over it. No pattern emerges, nothing that could take me further than I am. I put the graphite down on the table and think hard and honestly about what I really want. Ain't that the $1.5 million question? Oh boy, now what do we got going for us? The next day, I take the bus into the city. It goes twice an hour. Twice an hour? Huh, not even sure. It goes twice an hour starting in the morning. Oh, that's why. Okay. Passing by the front gate of Yamaku at 20 minutes past and 10 to the hour. That's what it meant. I just don't understand buses. You'll have to forgive me. I think I've been on one maybe twice in my life. The ride takes considerably longer than the one Nomiya gave us in his car. I slowly read a book as the bus makes its rounds through the suburbs, pausing at almost every stop to pick up someone or let them out. Eventually, we make it to the last stop at the city center. The city is fair sized, but not too large, and seems too quiet. Nevertheless, I enjoy the atmosphere. Despite being slightly directionally challenged, I find my way from the bus station to the gallery without too much effort, and soon I find myself staring at the big letters saying 22nd corner. Inside the gallery, owner is intently studying a large painting hanging on the wall, a portrait of an old man. Good afternoon. She turns around to look at me, and a smile of recognition spreads on her lips. I'm honestly rather honored that you do remember. Hello. Oh, aren't you the young man from the other day? Shinichi student. Sal, was it? That's right. Good afternoon, Miss Sayonji. Please, just sigh. I don't want to feel any older than I am. You know, I'm so glad that even young people show interest in art nowadays. So refreshing. What brings you here? Surely you aren't just on a countryside visit, all the way from your school. Ah, I actually came for Rin, and I was hoping to see how she's doing. Oh, is that right? Well, then you need to step back outside. You see, the atelier is actually at the next door on the right down the street and up the stairwell. Just climb the stairs to the top floor. There's only one door there. You can't miss it. I guess my thanks. Exit the gallery and locate the door she was talking about. And it only took me 3.5 hours. It leads to a dark stairwell, which reminds me of the stairs leading to the roof of the school building. In fact, I think it just might be a mirrored version of that picture, if I'm being honest, also with the darkness put down on it. The stairs are steep, and even though it's only 5 floors, my breathing gets heavy before I reach the top. An unassuming wooden door waits for me there. It's unlocked, so I knock and enter. Okay, this is obviously a word that's going to be incredibly important. It's just going to keep on saying it over and over. Alright, hang on. I need to try to know what this actually is. Okay. Okay, so it's a workshop. Bare minimum, I can say workshop if I can't pronounce whatever this is. Okay, come on. Say the thing.
Atelier.
You're really gonna try and get me to say that?
Atelier.
Atelier. No. The workshop is really just one big room with the ceiling lower at one end than the other because the roof of the building is gabled? Clark Gable? There's a huge skylight in the ceiling that acts as the main source of light for the room, bringing in sunlight that reflects off the white painted walls. So it's good to use natural light for art. There isn't much in the way of interior decoration. No surprise since the room seems to have been used as storage for a while. All kinds of boxes and office furniture are scattered around the place. The room is dusty since it's not even in use for a while. It's not been in use, I mean. I can see that someone has made some effort to clean up a little, but it's far from immaculate. Suddenly, we find a Rin. The backside of a Rin, in fact. Rin stands in the middle of the room with her back to me, staring at a half-painted canvas placed on an easel. Not working on it, just staring, unmoving. She wears what must be second or third-hand denim overalls over the standard school uniform shirt, much like the one I'm wearing. They look pretty worn and are covered in paint splatters. From the way they seem to be loose or tight in places, I'm guessing they weren't originally Rin's. Hi. Hello. Rin doesn't judge my showing up as worthy of turning around, saying maybe something more than just a mechanical reply to my greeting, smiling, anything. She keeps on doing whatever it is she's doing, probably some weird creative thing inside her head. Perhaps I should have expected as much. Still, I make another attempt at conversation. This is a pretty cool place. Big, too. It is. So I said I can use this as much as I like. I even have my own key. So, how's the work going? She doesn't answer for a while. I begin to wonder if she's already forgotten the question. As a cloud drifts over the building, shadowing the light pouring in from the skylight, the change in Rin's surroundings seems to wake her up. I don't know. It's like a huge ball. I don't really know which side is the right one. It's really huge. It's the hugest thing ever. Like a mountain growing inside of me. Like I swallowed a mountain whole. It's gonna be really hard, I think. Really very hard. I try to listen for undercurrents of stress or uncertainty in her voice, but I don't pick up on anything like that. I'm probably giving it a little bit more emotion than necessary, but I don't know. I guess maybe that's just my interpretation. Why are you here? Her tone is not as unkind as the directness of the question would make it seem. This game doesn't have voice acting, so allow me to just quickly point out to the audience that she didn't mean that in a rude way. Well, you said it'd be fine if I came to visit, so here I am. I guess it's not for any real reason, but I thought you might like company or assistance or maybe some Sao. Can you be quiet for about 15 minutes? Maybe 10 is enough. 5 is definitely not. You can talk afterwards. Her tone is sharp. Nothing like I've ever heard from her before. There is no commands, no annoyance, no anger, but her voice pierces me all the same. All right. With the silence that falls, anxiety creeps back into my heart. I wonder if it was a mistake to come here. Murmurs of traffic filter in from outside, and I start to feel more and more uncomfortable. All my thoughts keep finding themselves returning to certain things that have been swirling relentlessly in the back of my mind for some time now. I feel like those thoughts will surface out of the tempsturia. Oh, god damn it. Out of the absolutely crazy sea of my mind, whether I want it or not. Desperate to divert my focus, I fixate on Rin's back as my mind races. I don't think I've ever studied anyone's back so intently before. Her neck hidden by copper-colored hair, which is, again, in complete disarray. I've never known copper to be the color red, but alright. The relaxed yet rigid posture reminds me that Rin's physical appearance often tends to be as awkward as her various trains of thought. Those gaunt, delicate shoulder blades visible through the thin white fabric of her shirt. The contour of her hips curving down to her thin thighs. It pisses me off. What? Rarely does she ever seem to be looking at me, whether literally or figuratively. I, on the other hand, am always watching her back, both literally and figuratively. Whenever she's painting, whenever something catches her fluttery attention, whenever I don't forcefully make her to listen to me, I can't reach through to her. Rin's heart is uncharted territory, dangerous waters, the blank areas on a map. The edge of the world? If I were too close, I'd wonder if I'd fall off. What do I think of her? Sometimes she's aloof and distant, and it annoys me. At other times, her passion for the things she thinks worthwhile shines through and it inspires me. I can't understand her. Still, I like her and consider her my friend. I suppose part of my friendship is putting up with the oddities of the people you can call friends. I have to admit, there is a lot of putting up with Rin. What does she think of me? I have no idea. Last week, I thought she might have liked me romantically, what with the kiss and all. Forced me to ponder my own feelings, too. This week, I'm utterly confused. What would she do if I told her I liked her that way? I wonder if I really do. Damn, I can't make sense of any of my own thoughts anymore. Must be contagious. Even if I said a thing like that, would it matter? Nothing affects Rin. Nothing. I'm done. I find her turned around now staring at me. It unnerves me. I tried to remember what we, or rather I, were talking about before she requested a timeout. Oh, right. I just came to... I don't know. You still can't finish your sentences? It's not that. Fine. She retreats from the conversation, slipping away from me once again. She doesn't return to the painting, but instead keeps looking at me with that empty poker face of hers. I wanted to talk about stuff. I've thought about a lot of things. What things? Like what happened last week and so on. What happened? Get the feeling she's playing with me. Why, I have no clue. It's not a game she's playing with my head. I'm pretty sure she doesn't deliberately try to screw with people. Maybe it's just my own mind playing tricks on itself. Still, Rin feels like a puzzle in the form of a girl. I feel attracted to it, compelled to solve it, the overly rational part of my brain refusing to let me give up. I can't leave her alone. I never would have believed I could be this obsessive about something. Why do I hesitate so much and keep running in circles around her? I don't have to do that. I already decided what I want to say. Rin. Saying her name with an intention like this makes my mouth dry, as if my subconscious is fighting against what I'm going to say next. I feel like I'm going to lock up any moment now. Rin looks up from her paint-covered toes and stops wiggling them, as there isn't anyone to observe them curiously now. The hard stare of her dark green eyes seems like a portent. I like you. The lack of any reaction is like a slap to the face. So, I'd like to like you as more than a friend. What is more? The slow, hesitant words coming from between her strawberry-colored lips are not the ones I was expecting. Neither of the two possible answers that I'd been expecting, actually. I feel myself blushing heavily, as is par for the course in this kind of situation. My heartbeat sounds like a percussion orchestra on drugs. Depending on which one that is, that could mean two very different tempos, my dude. Rin's faux innocent inquiry feels like I'm being grilled over hot coals. You know, like, romantically, and no. Oh. Well, I suppose it makes sense it would happen on at least one of these things. Rin turns around, giving me the cold shoulder as she returns to looking at her painting. She makes a move to pick up her brush, which lies forgotten on the floor, but decides against it at the last moment. I can't talk about that kind of thing now. So don't talk about that kind of thing, please. We are friends, right? So you can do that. The silence those words leave behind is deafening. I want to say something, but my mouth refused to move. There's no way I can retain my dignity. Rin finally picks up the brush without giving any explanation for her behavior. Maybe there was something in her voice that gave away some emotion, but I couldn't say what. Her shoulders slump melancholically as her foot works the canvas in front of her. She won't let me see her face, and I know it. Feeling the weight of my heart grow heavier, I stand up to leave, for I can't stay here any longer today. It's like I opened Pandora's box by stepping over some line that Rin didn't want me to cross, and she had to turn me down. I walk across the squeaky floor to the door leading to the stairwell. Rin's quiet voice stops me in my tracks as I open the door. Miss Al? My hand, still on the brass doorknob, is waiting for me to turn it or to withdraw. Yeah? Will you come tomorrow? Yeah. I didn't know exactly what to expect from a conversation like that, but... Okay. Oh, boy. I mean, I knew going in that this was gonna be a story. After a night of bad sleep, I go through the day mostly on automatic. I put on my uniform mechanically, do my schoolwork mechanically, eat my lunch mechanically, reply to teachers mechanically, and thus, when the final bell rings, I still feel as if I had just woken up. My mind feels blank and overcrowded at the same time, and I can't even begin to unravel the tangle of feelings I've gotten myself into. I spend the bus trip downtown staring out the window, thinking about these things. As a result, by the time I climb the stairs to the workshop, 4 floors above, size gallery, I'm feeling completely exhausted. Expecting awkwardness, I quietly knock on the door before entering. I spot Rin at the center of the small, clear area in the room working on a painting. She doesn't acknowledge my arrival in any way. Hi. I came as promised. Rin snaps her head to my direction immediately. Was she waiting for me to say something? And locks that cold green gaze of hers on me. Although I'm sure my own face can't hide my feelings, Rin's expression is expectant and neutral as always. The clouded, slightly absent-minded darkness in her eyes is like a wall standing between me and her. It's the first awkward silence between us that is truly awkward. Yesterday, both of us said something we couldn't take back, and there's no way it can be undone. I want to say something, but Rin forbade me from doing so. I can't even begin to guess what she's thinking, but I'm feeling the pressure of her lightless eyes on me, compelling me to break the silence without saying the thing I most want to say. To my horror, I find that I can't find any way to start a conversation. It's as if I've completely lost the ability to speak with her. Just keep working if you're in the middle of something. I'll just sit down here. Rin nods wordlessly at me and picks up the brush from the floor with her toes on the right foot. I sink into a worn-out sofa, picking up a book from my bag and opening it to where I stopped last night. I can't really concentrate on it, but it's better than doing nothing. The two of us are so close to each other. together in the same room even, and yet we're both off doing our own thing as if we're miles apart. I can't help but wonder about this unnatural situation. Why did I come here? Because she asked me to do so yesterday, of course. However, it looks like there's absolutely no need for me to actually be here. Makes me feel awkward at first, but as I recall the previous silences I've quietly passed with Rin, I settle down and try to tune into the same comfortable mood I was in back then. Time stretches, then slows down. The pages of my book rustle each time I turn them. After maybe half an hour or 1 hour at most, Rin breaks the silence to my complete surprise. Hisao. Yeah? Are you my friend? It's an echo of yesterday, I know it. So even Rin couldn't push it aside from her mind. Caught off guard, I answer honestly. I don't... Yeah, of course I am. Don't worry about stuff like that, come on. Okay. She doesn't say anything further. I feel happy somehow. I interpret that as... I don't know. Maybe I'm just reading too much into it, but I really do feel like Rin does have a lot of coherent thoughts and feelings. She just doesn't know how to say them. Like, at that exact moment, I get the impression that she feels like, did I mess everything up? Are we cool? Are we not cool? I feel like that was her best way of being able to figure that out. Several chapters later, I mark my spot, close the book, and put it away in my bag. Getting up from the sofa, I see that Rin's made considerable progress in her painting. I take a look at it for a bit. Still not quite finished, I suppose. Looks great. It's bad luck to comment on unfinished paintings. After that, I quietly leave the studio and catch the bus, taking me back to the school. I am the Frito Bandito. Oh boy. Life settles into some sort of vague, undefined norm. I visit Rin whenever I can, but each time is as strange as the first. They consist mainly of me watching Rin at work or just reading a book on the couch while she works. We barely talk at all. Long, quiet evenings stretch over the last weeks of June. I sit on the couch in the workshop, listening to the quiet rustle of Rin's brush and my own heartbeat, trying to make sense of the former and forget about the latter. I am a silent visitor in this place. A ghost. At some point, I start thinking about my presence as... At some point, I start thinking that my presence is meaningful to Rin somehow, but never end up asking her about it. I don't bring up the forbidden topic anymore either, and try to stop thinking about it altogether. It's hard to do so, and doesn't get any easier with the passage of time. My heart aches every time I look at the awkward figure of the girl that decided I liked, yet who refused to acknowledge it. I still can't seem to find the right words to talk to her about anything at all, but I find quiet solace in observing her from nearby. The distance between us doesn't feel that huge when I can be close to her, even if it's like this. Rin works like a demon. There's barely a moment when she's without a brush between her toes, or not walking in circles around her current work in progress, estimating it from every angle and distance. She seems to be completely taken over by her will to work, to change herself into the sort of artist she believes would be worthy of the trust Nomiya and Sai have placed in her. Piles of sketches, works in progress, tubes of oil paint, and brushes slowly begin to crowd the small workshop, making it even messier than it was before Rin acquired the right to use it. I offer to help clean her up every now and then, but each time she refuses. It dawns on me that in her mind, the room is not an utter chaos. Rather, her system of keeping track of everything is so elaborate, only Rin herself can make sense of it, and cleaning it up would probably just make things difficult. She knows exactly where everything is, from the tiniest brush to that half-empty tube of crimson that's the perfect shade for some picture in progress. Rin walks from one painting to another, looking at them as if not remembering that she made them. She talks to herself, or to the paintings, even when I'm present, always just quietly enough that I can't make out the words. Every day, Rin pours herself onto the canvas for hours on end, squeezing every bit of her ability and even her soul to make good on the promise that she made to me, or to herself. Black marks appear beneath her eyes, a sure sign that she's skipping sleep in favor of painting. I'm somewhat surprised to see her at school a few times. I never go and say hello, though, as I somehow feel it would break the silent magic of the evenings we share at the workshop. Sometimes Sai comes by when I'm there. She gives me a certain kind of look when she shows up. I think she doesn't like that I'm always hanging out with Rin up here, but she never says a word about it. She isn't quite as full of praise for Rin's work as Nomiya, but is visibly impressed nonetheless. However, when she turns her eyes from the wonderful works of art to look upon the little red-headed girl that made them, a sudden deep sadness floats under the surface of her expression. I can't explain it, and she never talks about it. June turns into July almost without warning. End-of-term exams loom dangerously close, but all I can think of is Rin. I feel like a sleepwalker at school, looking forward only to the next time I get to visit the silent place above Sai's gallery. After Rin effused my attempts at directly helping with her work, I try to figure out other ways to help her. It finally dawns on me that she isn't eating properly. Of course, of my course of action decided, I stop at the convenience store before going to catch the bus downtown on my next visit to the studio. I feel very energetic as I open the door to the workshop and greet Rin. I brought you some fruit. You need vitamins and actual food, after all. Do you even eat up here? I do eat. If I didn't eat, I couldn't paint. Then why don't you eat a couple of these? I shake the bag full of ripe oranges in my hand and employ to tempt Rin into taking a break. To my surprise, she actually lays her brush down and walks over to me to see what I'd brought. Her expression doesn't change at all when she looks into the bag. Can't eat oranges, Hisao. It does not work well with feet. That's all right, I'll do it. Of course I knew that. She told me herself, after all. I extract the tiny fruit knife I had with me and select one of the round fruits. After making the initial cut, I begin to peel it with my fingers. The strong scent of cut orange rind immediately fills the air as thousands of tiny droplets of oil burst from the skin, as if almost you're peeling the skin off of a thing and it's freaking out over it. Much like the grass! And yeah, I'm going to keep bringing that back. I remove the first section of the hard peel and shoot a glance at Bryn. So how's the work going? I don't know. It's like I'm in the center of some huge mountain of jelly and have to dig my way out. Must be stressful. I think it might be, even though it's just painting. Everything feels really strange. I wonder if Rin is the kind of person who likes to carefully remove all the white fibrous stuff from oranges before eating them, or the more careless type who just eats them as they come. Maybe neither. I'm the former type, so I meticulously clean the orange slices one by one while Rin watches the process with mild curiosity. I realize I don't have the faintest idea about her likes or dislikes, or any of the other little details that make up the concept of a person for those around them. It's like in all this time, I hadn't learned much about her at all. Once I finish lamenting the fact, I realize I've cleaned the entire orange and neatly split it into slices. I hold a slice up, bringing it closer to Rin so she can pick it up. Here. Nom. She nommed the orange. She takes it directly between her lips and then into her mouth hole. Her lower lip briefly brushes against my fingertip. Rin chews the slice carefully, savoring it as much as possible. She lacquered the orange. I become fixated on the movements of her jaw. The trickle of juice glistening on her lip, the way her throat moves when she swallows the orange slice. That's something to notice. Okay. After I realize what I'm doing, I turn away feeling embarrassed about watching her so intently. It's not the same as it usually is. The orange? Painting. Oh, well, is anything like that ever the same? It is sometimes, I think. I don't know what, though. I might be starting to paint differently soon if this goes on. Well, wouldn't that just be that change you keep talking about? She thinks about it, blinking her eyes a few times nervously. For a moment, absolutely nothing happens, as if time itself did a double take. We stare at each other in silence, only that faint, tangy scent of orange floating between us and the muffled sounds of traffic in the background. Then I pick up another slice and hold it to her. She takes it from me with her mouth just like the first one. I didn't think it would be like this. Well, keep on going and see what happens. It's not like you can do anything else. Yeah, it's the only thing I can do. After that, she says nothing more. In the ensuring silence, I feed Rin the rest of the orange, one slice at a time. Then I peel another for her, which she eats as well. The third I eat myself, and the rest are left in the plastic bag, which I put on a small desk next to the couch. She stands up and returns to her painting with a strange look in her eyes that I haven't seen before. Like most of her expressions, it's completely unreadable. Even if I asked, she wouldn't explain what it means. But we did give her the orange. She make a demanche. You can't say that she didn't make a demanche.